First hymn is Amazing Grace from Christian Worship, hymn 576. To me, Amazing Grace has always felt like a markedly American song with a somewhat gospel feel to it. However, this powerful Christian's hymn was written in 1772 by an English Anglican clergyman named John Newton. Newton himself was a bit of a scoundrel early in his life. His mother died from tuberculosis when he was 7. He was then sent to boarding school where he was mistreated, and then when he was 11, he joined his seafaring father on a ship as an apprentice, where he was known for his headstrong disobedience. He was later pressed into service with the British Royal Navy, then deserted the Navy for a woman while on leave, after which he was traded as crew on a slave trade ship. As a sailor, Newton was obscene and disagreeable, often being imprisoned and chained like the slaves his ship carried. He gained notoriety as being one of the most profane men the ship captain had ever met. In a culture where sailors habitually swore, Newton was admonished several times for not only using the worst words the captain had ever heard, but also creating new words to exceed the limits of verbal debauchery. Newton neglected what little faith in God he had, openly mocked others who showed their faith, and derided and denounced God as a myth. During a violent storm in the North Atlantic when he was 23, Newton narrowly missed death after desperately calling out to God for mercy. This incident renewed his faith in the Lord. However, his conversion was slow and halting over the next several years as he continued working in the slave trade. Eventually, though, he left shipping, went back to England, and became a clergyman. Newton wrote many hymns, 5 of which are in our hymnal, Amazing Grace being one of the more popular ones today. The basis for many of the lyrics in Amazing Grace is in the New Testament. The first verse can be traced to the parable of the prodigal son, where the father says, "This son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And Jesus' healing of a blind man who tells the Pharisees, "I was blind, but now I see." This is a sentiment to which many of us can relate, and is perhaps why this hymn has endured for over 250 years. The words of Amazing Grace were first set to the tune New Britain in 1835 by William Walker, an American Baptist song leader. The tune is an amalgamation of 2 other melodies, Gallagher and St. Mary, and is attributed to Charles Spillman and Benjamin Shaw, who you can see are credited for the tune in our hymnal. Our first reading for this hymn, or our scripture reading for this hymn, is Ephesians 2, verses 8 and 9. "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast."